I'm a big shooter fan with a channel focused on old games. Doom the Dark Ages released at freaking $70, so of course I'm going to take a look back at the original. But just talking about the game normally would have been boring. I wanted a challenge, something that would make my blood pressure rise and my butthole clench. So I played it on Ultra Violence and Nightmare modes. How did that go? Very good and very bad at the same time. You want to know more? The answer is accessible only to those that have brave to subscribe and pass the gates of heck. Open them, if you dare. On my first try I actually set the game to Nightmare difficulty. That should be entertaining enough, I said, full of confidence as I got humbled by basic enemies on level 1. After a couple more pathetic tries, I understood I needed to respect my elders. So Ultra Violence it is. The first few levels weren't actually that difficult. In fact, I was worried this might be too easy. The enemies did seem more aggressive than usual and their aim was better, but so far I didn't really have any issues. Sure, I was getting hurt more than usual, but healing wasn't that much of a problem. Since this is an old school shooter, you don't heal by waiting. Instead you pick up medpacks and armor, and there was a surprisingly generous amount of them. Is this it? This is barely a warm-up for Nightmare. I'll be in the last stage in no time. Oh hey, stage 5, what are you doing here? Yep, walk right into that one. The stage itself wasn't that challenging, but there was this section where some hidden doors open and a bunch of demons appear, some of which are invisible. And to make matters worse, there are explosive barrels on the way and acid on the floor. Taken by surprise, I proceeded to shoot in a panic, which only served to get me killed. After uselessly dying for around 4 consecutive times, I decided to employ a new strategy. The run and gun. Just hold down the run button and keep shooting, man. Once that was over, the rest of the stage was once again easy. But something changed here. Besides the enemies appearing in greater numbers than I remember, the game was throwing in more powerful ones in the midst as well as ambushes. I was now carefully thinking about how much ammo I had, which medkits to leave behind in case of emergencies, and if it was worth using something against a single enemy or if I should save my arsenal. I think I got traumatized. Anyway, I reached the end of episode 1 where I was met by 2 Barons of Hell as well as a bunch of invisible a-holes. Honestly, this shouldn't have been that bad, but my anxiety attacks started to kicking and I was jumpy. So jumpy in fact that I didn't see an invisible pink in front of me right when I started to spam my rockets. I beat the level right after, so it's fine. And with that, episode 1 was done. Alright, so you must be thinking, oh, this doesn't look all that hard. And you'd be right. Besides those 2 occasions where I died, the game surprisingly hasn't been all that difficult. Not easy, but not quite what I have in mind. It has been generous with medkits and ammo. Even so, the enemies deal a lot of damage if they manage to hit you, but the level design is so good that you have options to take cover or do some crowd control. But don't worry, dear people that click on this to see me suffer, some bullshit does happen later on. We continue on with episode 2 of the game, The Shores of Hell. I don't see any water though. Stage 1 was fairly easy. Again, kill a bunch of demons, find some better guns, the usual. However, as soon as I started stage 2, I realized I had made a terrible mistake. Oh, I had completely forgotten you can actually run out of ammo. It's fine, the game wouldn't screw me over like this, right? Now, I would like to introduce some good friends of mine. This is Manuela, and this is Tezcatlipoca. The rest of the level, these 2 essentially carried me by falcon punching everything in sight. At least until I got some ammo. But, let me tell you, punching fireball shooting demons in the face is not easy. And this was the moment I got good at dodging. You should have seen me, man. It was like a beautiful ballet dance. With lots of gore. But then I met my true soulmate. I shall call you Esperanza. From that moment on, as soon as a pinky appeared in front of me, Esperanza would carve them a new one in seconds. I don't know how it happened, but the chainsaw became the default weapon to kill pinkies and caco demons. Which, I don't know if this is just me, but I swear that on their backs there is an area that resembles something I would get banned for showing. It might have just been an optical illusion, but I just never got over it. Anyways, we move on and the game was starting to pick up the difficulty. Man, this is great! Truly a challenge. I can feel myself improving. I can't wait to see what's... Where the hell am I? I accidentally discovered a secret level. I didn't know the game had those. Just look at my reaction, I didn't understand what was going on. So, what was this level like? Lots of ammo and weapons to celebrate the occasion? Yeah, of course not. Obviously, I died a couple times, but like, how was I supposed to be prepared for a Baron of Hell Bukkake? Some avid viewers might have realized, but you're supposed to respawn with only your baby pistol. But yeah, I ain't dealing with that shit. It took a couple of tries, but the run and gun strategy proved superior once more. And while in the moment I felt like a badass, looking back on my footage, I'm starting to notice a pattern in my defeats. Regardless, it's really cool finding things like this by accident. And I admit, I spent about as much time looking for them as I did shooting. The levels also started to become more unique. Up until now, most of them were the simple walk down this straight corridor and get to the exit. But now they were leaning more into their themes. One of them was a dark labyrinth that put me on edge because I'm afraid of the dark, so I just shot at random directions.
Don't have any clever jokes about your mommy. Don't talk about my mom!
Finally, we reached the final stage of part 2. So you know what that means? Boss fight time! I've actually fought the Cyber Demon before, so I knew what was waiting for me. One clean hit and I was dead, while the boss could take several rockets to the face. I needed to come prepared, so I started exploring and picking up every bit of health, armor and ammo I could find. My strategy was simple, run and gun again. Like Activision has said about Call of Duty, if it works, why do something new? But just when I entered the arena... Ow, fuck! That was bullshit and so unfair. The Cyber Demon attacks with explosive rockets and the room is too fucking small. I was fully capable of beating the boss, I just didn't expect a lock skill check right away. Let's try, I killed it immediately after, so if you've been paying attention, you'll have noticed that all of my deaths can be attributed to one factor. I lost my shit. Every single time I've been killed, it was less because of the difficulty and more because I was taken by surprise. I panic, I move without thinking, and die because of it. And that's my advice to anyone willing to play this in ultra violence. This is doable. This isn't interacting with strangers in a party. You're a strong, independent woman who can do anything. Unless you are me and reach part 3, Inferno. Fuck Inferno. It wasn't particularly challenging, but it had everything it needed to piss me off and delay my progress as much as humanly possible. To begin with, level 1 had a lot of tanky enemies and nowhere near enough ammo to take them all out. I tried to shoot only when I was sure I would be able to hit them. I even tried run punching the weaker enemies to save ammo, but that was just adding even more difficulty. After a bunch of tries I said f it and ran past the first enemies. My Aztec ancestors would be ashamed. Luckily on level 2 I found a secret and got the ammo I so desperately needed. So that's one less pain in the ass. Now, there's a bunch of awesome weapons in the game, but one of them reigns supreme. The BFG, the big fucking gun. This amazing monument of destruction fires off a blast powerful enough to evaporate any unfortunate soul standing in front of it. And at long last, after going 2/3 of the game without it, I had found it. It was time for the big boys to play. Or so you think, but you never know when you might need it, so I saved it for later. Look, I'm not lying when I say this weapon can kill anything with 1 or 2 hits. But unless I got surrounded by cyber demons, I didn't see any reason to use it on basic enemies. So, sorry for killing the hype, but I only used it once. Stage 3 was more annoying because there were plenty of sections where the floor was hazardous and there were a lot of enemies, but it was nothing I couldn't handle. So, why did this level piss me off so much? Well, at the end of the level I found the invincibility power up. Let me repeat that. I found it. At the end. After burning my feet off. Once everything was dead. And we are moving on! Or not, because stages 5 and 6 were the same f***ing thing, only much worse cause it had teleporter puzzles, and my little autistic brain couldn't remember where they led. And I sure as hell didn't want to make a guide or pay attention, because no, that would have been too smart. Let's instead keep choosing the exact same platform, I'm sure this time something will be different. Oh, but that was just a warm-up for Stage 7. A bit of my history with this place. I've had Doom for years, pretty much since 2016 give or take. And not once have I finished it. Why? Because of this f***ing level. Is it hard? No, not really. The enemies are strong, but they are placed fairly well. Is it because of the lava or blood or whatever the f it is that hurts you when you step on it? I mean, it's a pain, yes, but it's just a matter of spatial awareness. The problem is that this area is a very big map, with switches that you need to find and press, as well as needing keys to open the final door. Yes, I know it doesn't sound bad, and really it's not. But I mentioned this in the Call of Duty review, which you can watch here, but I always get lost in games. Doesn't matter how linear a path is, I'll find a way to circle back to the beginning once again. This is your map, idiot! Guys! I did! The map looks like this, and it doesn't tell me where the keys are or what teleporter leads where. I think I ended up repeating this stage thrice, hoping, praying I would stumble upon the final piece of the metaphorical puzzle. But I finally had enough and just looked up a guide. When you exit the teleporter and can see the exit, the switch will be next to you. What do you mean next to me? Son of a fucking shit, please. Bonnie, calm down! You want to see me calm? I'll show you calm as I take this switch and then I in the ah! Is that calm enough for you? You might think I'm exaggerating, but dude, I spent so much time searching every nook and cranny of this stage, banging my head against walls trying to locate a secret door that never existed. If it had been hidden, I would have been okay. But no, it was literally one step away from an area I had passed by so many times. My heart sank, but I was just glad that was over. Now it was time. The final level, the final boss fight. While the experience had not been as hard as I thought, the final stretch had annoyed the f*** out of me, targeting precisely the things that piss me off the most. What sort of monster could be capable of this? What spawn of oblivion could orchestrate these kicks to the nuts? What kind of gremlin could be responsible for this much chaos?
Nothing sexier than a gorilla grip butthole. The fit.
Huh.
Guys, when
That
I said I had a gorilla grip
actually
butthole,
makes a
I
lot of
meant in
sense.
the-
Just kidding, I love Chibidoki. No, it was actually a brain spider, which might be just as random. At this point I was too pissed off to care and had no time for its bullshit. So I just took out the BFG and spammed the f*** out of it. The fight didn't even last a minute. Anticlimactic? Yes, but you can't argue with the results. I did it. I had finally beaten the original Doom. Also, no, I did not do the 4th chapter since that to me is basically filler. I don't know how much I had improved, but there was only one way to find out. Time to try Nightmare difficulty, once again. Had I leveled up? Was I now skilled enough to beat the highest difficulty of the game? No, not even close. I might as well be showing you the footage at the beginning of the video. Before you make fun of me, let me explain to you exactly what Nightmare difficulty is about. The enemies are basically the same as in Ultraviolence, so a lot of them, but they keep respawning and have aimbot. Because I swear that as soon as I picked around the corner, I was blasted by bullets. It didn't matter how far I was, just that I was in line of sight. You have double the ammo laying around, but what's the point? You will never have enough. I asked around on Nekura's fan club, because of course she has one, and the guys there told me to not even bother. Turns out the creator of the game added this difficulty as a joke because people complained Ultraviolence was too easy. Sick f***. So, how do you beat this? You don't. If you want to play on Nightmare, you are basically doing a speedrun. You grab your man or lady, balls, and run as fast as you can to the exit. But you need to know the game like the back of your hand so you can avoid the enemies and run straight to the end. And yeah, I am not doing that. I am already studying 2 languages, going to the gym and trying to make a living with art. I'm already living in Nightmare mode. If you want to see what that's like, I can ask Buffy to try it since that psychopath loves crazy challenges like this. Time for the final score. How is the game? Honestly, I'm shocked this came out in 1993. The graphics are pixelated, but the way that everything is portrayed, from the enemies to the backgrounds, is super clear and everything feels very distinctive. These kinds of graphics really give the game its own identity, and even by modern standards, I cannot say they look bad. The gameplay is incredible. Yes, of course, it's a shooter, so you know what to expect. I cannot say that there's anything unique since it's all shooting with no extra gimmicks, but being straight to the point isn't bad. Especially since this was the daddy of the shooter genre. Sometimes simple is best, and the mechanics were very well implemented. They never felt awkward and handled really well, so no complaints here. You also got a good amount of weapons that were satisfying to use and they all served a certain purpose. Lots of weak enemies around, use the chain gun. Tanky pinkies incoming, a good old rocket or plasma to the face should solve it. Most of my playthrough was done using the shotgun, but none of the guns, minus the pistol, felt weak. The enemy distribution was also just right. I never felt overwhelmed, except for those ambushes, and even then they never reached Dark Souls level of bullshit. They added some extra challenge out of nowhere and didn't allow the pacing to fall off. Plus, it was fun as hell to shoot demons. Whenever I faced an enemy I never thought, oh damn it, this guy again. Instead, I was always happy to see something else to shoot at. The levels are extremely well made too. There were a couple of annoying areas, but every room I entered had something in it. And it was really exciting every time I found a secret. And the music. Holy hell. I don't usually pay attention to music in games, in part because I hyperfocus and block out sounds, but damn, the songs hit hard. Even now I can hear the different tracks in my head. I just hope YouTube copyright cannot. They fit perfectly the aggressive and dark nature of the game, plus they are epic AF. I guess if I had anything bad to say, and I'm using the term bad very loosely, is that it doesn't really have that much of a story. But then again, the game doesn't really need any. You're a marine fighting hordes of hell, what more do you need? Also, it felt surprisingly easy for being the second highest difficulty, which might be a turn off for some masochists. That and the jump to Nightmare is ridiculous. Still, it's an amazing experience even 32 years later, and it's no wonder it became the grandpappy of the shooter genre. In fact, it's so legendary, people have made mods that range from horny to wholesome, from stupid to terrifying, and even found ways to run it on anything with a screen. I have so many questions. First, why is this a thing? How the hell does this even happen? And will we get a version in Braille someday? I legit don't know how you could improve it besides just giving you more weapons and content. If you like action games in general, you need to play it, because it's the definition of an ageless classic. I might have struggled at parts, but the game never stopped being fun, and even now I sometimes play it again. Nothing left to say, 7 guns out of 7, god damn! Hey everyone, I wanted to thank everyone that has subscribed so far since we just reached 100 subscribers. It might not seem like much to some, but seriously it feels really good to know that that many people enjoy the things I make. I also want to apologize because this review took me months to make, mostly because I don't know how to organize my schedule, but hopefully I'll be able to bring you videos more often. In the meantime, take a look at my other videos. I've done a Call of Duty review before, which you might like if you are into old school shooters. That's it for now, and I'll see you soon. Bye!